Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Lessons from Your Soul Reveal reading. While we're waiting to connect and I am going to see you guys live, I want to share an exciting, maybe I don't even know how to say that it's so exciting. So, an exciting endeavor that I decided to embark on. I have officially become a caretaker, which is insane. If you know me, although I'm going to say 5 years ago, I couldn't keep a plant alive. Today, I have like 83 plants, not like I have 83 plants. So that is very exciting to me. But I have been given the honor and the privilege of being the caregiver of a sourdough starter. Her name is Maeve, and she did not disappoint. So I'm very excited, and she makes me feel like I'm a very accomplished sourdough maker. Now, I've only made 2 loaves with her, and I've only done 1 set of discards, so we'll see how that goes. But it's a lot of responsibility and time or timeliness requirement. 2 things that I'm not super awesome at and have never really wanted to expend any energy on being better at. So I'm hoping this works out good. Hi, Joe. Welcome, and thank you for your encouragement. As always, I'm very grateful for that. Hi, Mona. How are you? I just need to figure out how. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, oh, this is good. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to figure out how to get your information on the side, and I just did. So welcome to Lessons from Your Soul Reveal reading. This is something that we do every week now. It is on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tammy, I'm actually glad you're here. You need to reach out to me. You have a paid appointment that you haven't had yet. So we need to figure out when to schedule that. Hello, Carolyn. Nice to see you. Tonight, we're going to talk about how we shift out of an elementary level spiritual seeker and into a intermediate level spiritual seeker. So when we get started, I'm going to talk to you about the 3 levels of spiritual seeker, and we're going to spend most of our time tonight talking about elementary to intermediate. Hi, Julia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If anyone has any questions, concerns, or ideas, please go ahead and post them as they come up. I'll do my best to pay attention to the sidebar. Daniela, I was not expecting to see you. You are supposed to be walking the Camino, so it's so good to have you here. Thank you, thank you. I also have to say that I am not in love with how live works, that we don't get to interact with each other. And so I do want you to know that my team and I are in the process of shifting everything to a mighty network where we will focus on a strong sense of community, being more present in live sessions, and to really give a great space to what we call the Human Being User Manual. So that's coming soon. All right, I think that we're good. It's 4 minutes after the hour. Let's go ahead and get started in what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is shifting from elementary level spiritual seeker to intermediate, and how we can use our soul reveal reading pieces to do that. So ideally you have a pen and a piece of paper. You also have some water. These are the main tools you're always going to want to have. Tonight, because I still don't understand how all this works, and I don't have a whiteboard, I'm not going to be able to draw things out for you, which is my most empowering teaching style. But I think I figured out how to make this good for you guys too. So let's begin by talking about what do I mean by levels of spiritual seeker. The best way to explain this is to talk about the 4 levels of conscious competence, or the 4 levels of awareness. The first of the 4 levels is called unconscious incompetence. It's a space and time where we don't know that we don't know that we don't know. So we're literally unconscious and we're incompetent. Don't use the sound of that as judgment. This is the most amazing space in which we land when we're about to level up, when we are about to expand our knowledge. Something or someone is going to come along and we're going to know something that we had no idea existed. The challenge is in unconscious incompetence, if we stay here too long, we become spiritually disconnected. We start to experience uninspired. We begin to self-sabotage. We render ourselves incapable of asking for or receiving help. And we start to experience physical, visceral challenges on this timeline, specifically anger, which comes in the form of depression, and worry, which comes in the form of anxiety. These are all indications that we are in an unconscious, incompetent state. We've learned a lesson, and we haven't elevated our conscious awareness or grown into the opportunity for another lesson. So we're stuck in this state of literally unconsciousness and incompetence. This is the primary place in which an elementary level speaker, that's awesome, an elementary level spiritual seeker begins to awaken. And when our power begins to awaken, we are offered opportunities. Things are attracted to us, people, places, scenes, situations, and scenarios that if we can pay attention, if we allow the curiosity and the luminosity and the coincidences to come into awareness, we shift. And this next shift is called conscious incompetence. All of a sudden, we are aware that we don't know, but we are also in a state of desire. We want to know, and we're willing to learn, we're willing to heal, we're willing to grow, and most importantly, we want to prosper. The challenge here is that we don't necessarily know what that looks or feels like. We don't know what to do, but because we're open and we're no longer stuck in that low frequency and vibration of unconscious incompetence, we start attracting to us others that share information. And if we allow ourselves to be curious and we resonate with that information, we then raise our frequency and vibration. And so this is a space of elementary level. We don't know what to do or what questions to ask. We don't know how to shift anything, but we're in a space of recognizing that we don't want it to be the same any longer. This is the place in which Einstein would have described as insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results because we don't know that there is a different way or a different perspective. This is elementary level spiritual seeker, one who has elevated themselves from unconscious incompetence and are sitting in this incredible space of learning. It can be overwhelming in elementary level spiritual seeker because we don't necessarily have any tools. We don't necessarily trust our own intuition, and we likely haven't surrounded ourselves with a community of like-minded souls or those who are also on a spiritual journey yet. And so here in elementary level spiritual seeker, we're stuck in want versus need. I'm going to go through that in great detail. We are focused on who we want to be because we don't know who we truly are. We believe that everything is happening to us instead of being able to shift to a higher perspective. We're searching for answers, and we're using the question, why? These are the very typical experiences of an elementary level spiritual seeker. An intermediate level spiritual seeker is someone who has spent the time in elementary but have done their work honestly. They have followed the luminosities and the coincidences. They have attracted other points of view and perspectives that they never had before. They have surrounded themselves with a community of like-minded people. They've created or have begun to create an arsenal of tools. They are awakening, and they are in a space called conscious competence. They are very aware that there is a great deal that they don't know, but they've become really good at not only what they do know, but at who they want to be. And they are also capable of moving quickly through the opportunities to level up. Ideally, that means they're learning the lessons that are being presented to them. They're recognizing their patterns. They're starting to feel inspired again. They're seeing self-sabotage not as a punishment or a failure, but as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to heal, and to share. And they are no longer stuck in or controlled by depression and anxiety because they're recognizing it as its true name. I'm angry and therefore my body is exhausted. That's depression. Oh, I'm worried. I'm in a state of anxiety. That's why my mind is overwhelmed. And so these seekers, these intermediate level spiritual seekers, they know what they want. And so they are creating ongoing tools. They likely have a spiritual routine. They've created space for contemplation and reflection. They are focused on what they need to know, not who they're meant to be. They believe everything happens for them instead of to them. They're not searching for answers, they're asking the right questions. And when they ask a question, it's not why, it's what. And so let's take a moment to grab our pen and our piece of paper, and we are going to write on the top, shifting to intermediate level spiritual seeker, or even better, shifting to conscious competence. And we're going to go through the 5 pieces. So what I would like you to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and leave a little bit of space. And down the center, you're going to have a column. So at the top of your column, you're going to have elementary, and on the other side, intermediate. At number 1, you're going to place routine as the number 1 thing that makes a difference between intermediate and elementary. Elementary level speaker, elementary level spiritual. Say that multiple times really fast. Elementary level spiritual seekers, elementary level spiritual seekers. Elementary level spiritual seekers likely have no daily spiritual routine, whereas an intermediate has a daily spiritual routine. Number 2 is elementary level spiritual seekers don't know what they want, so they don't know how to find what they need. So it's want, whereas intermediate level spiritual seekers, they know what they want, and therefore they're able to find what they need. Number 3, Elementary spiritual seekers are in a space of attracting who do I want to be. They're working at figuring out who they want to be. When we're able to elevate into conscious competence, we're not looking for who we want to be because we already know who we are. We are looking for what do I need to know. So who am I versus what do I need to know? Next is the difference between 2 and 4. Elementary level spiritual seekers are still perceiving that reality is happening to them, not necessarily aware that they are a co-creator, or if they are aware that they're a co-creator, how that's happening. Whereas when one is consciously competent, they recognize that everything is happening for them. Good, bad, beautiful, or ugly, when it comes into your experience and has an effect on you, then there is something in that that is a lesson for you. Next, intermediate level spiritual seekers ask important questions. And elementary level spiritual seekers are searching for answers. They don't know what questions to ask yet. And so finally, they're asking why instead of what. And so let's go through each of these pieces to understand how can we make that shift. If you're an elementary level spiritual seeker and you want to shift into an intermediate, so you want to go from If you want to go from conscious incompetence to conscious competence, there needs to be a daily spiritual routine. And let me explain this by comparing a spiritual daily routine to a physical daily routine. And I'm going to make it simple. Brushing your teeth is a daily physical routine. It is very unlikely in this day and age that you go without brushing your teeth. Many people brush their teeth more than once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day. If you are not brushing your teeth, you're going to rapidly have mouth decay, you're going to have bad breath, it's going to feel uncomfortable, you're going to experience a sensation of being unclean or dirty. This is the exact same truth for a spiritual ritual. For me, this is meditation, it's Reiki, it's chakra balancing, it's energy medicine. It's a way in which you cleanse your bioenergetic fields every day. In the Self-Awareness Academy, I have been offering this daily spiritual cleanse in 2 ways. First, in the course, Take Your Power Back, which activates your innate operating system, which, by the way, we are renaming this to Awaken Your Power, to embody the new components that I'm adding to it. In Soul Reveal Reading and Soul Healing Protocol and Human Being User Manual, you would recognize this as Ground, Open, Connect, and Protect. A daily routine can be as short as 90 seconds, just grounding your physical body into Mother Earth so that your hara, your biome, and your root is present in this moment, but opening your heart to love and forgiveness so that your soul is connected to your divine assignment, so that you are an expression of love and light. And finally, to connect yourself to Source so that you know you're not alone. You're part of the great oneness, one tribe, one philosophy. You are part of cosmic intelligence. This can take time, or it can take a very little amount of time. I've created a lifestyle in which I'm able to wake up every morning at 7 a.m. and literally stay in bed, drinking water, grounding, opening, connecting, protecting, clearing all of my chakras, doing oracle cards and journaling, contemplating on what I'm going to create that day. And I'm usually not even out of bed until 9:30 in the morning. So I have a 2 hour and 30-minute daily morning spiritual activation, which is essential to elevating and remaining in my higher frequency of spiritually savvy. I'm not saying that what I do is right or is even going to be valuable to you. But what I am saying is that if you want to shift out of unconscious incompetence and conscious incompetence, that there must be a time in which you prioritize yourself and your conscious self-awareness in as little as 90 seconds, but even as generous as 15 or 20 minutes every 24 hours. This is non-negotiable in the activation of your conscious awareness. Next, I want you to imagine that there is a big distinction between what we want and what we need. What we want tends to be self-soothing. What we need tends to be supportive and moving us to higher elevations. So when you don't know what you want, it's impossible for you to have what you need. So our purpose at elementary level spiritual seeker is figuring out what we do want in our life and what we don't want in our life. This is why the soul reveal reading is so popular, is because people don't know what they don't know. And so when we provide them the answers from within the soul reveal reading, you are able to evaluate what in your life is serving you and what isn't. And when we are able to affirm what it is that we want from our life, we're able to find out what we need. This creates the third component, the difference between who do I want to be and who am I? And so as an elementary level spiritual seeker, your work, your job, your purpose on this planet is figuring out who you want to be. How do you want to show up as a character in this reality? What core values are you going to use to guide you? What boundaries are you going to have to protect you? This is figuring it out. And it's the most essential component of elementary level spiritual seeker. But as you elevate out of this conscious incompetence, you do so because you know who you want to be. And so the next question in intermediate spiritual seeker becomes, what do I need to know, to be, to do, or to have in order to create this reality that I want? Thinking of this, what do I need, is very often challenging because we have spent so long in unconscious incompetence that we think we want a whole bunch of different experiences that have mostly been programmed by the external world or have been given to us as corruptive feelings by media and marketing. We don't even want half of the things we think we want. And listen, I am as guilty as sin. There is nothing minimalist for me. I have wanted a lot of things most of my life. But where we graduate to, or where we elevate to, is what do we need to know? Everything on this planet is created by our thoughts. And the more knowledge that we accumulate by gathering information is going to become our own innate wisdom. And it's with that wisdom, It's with that ability to recognize what I need to know, not what you need to have, is going to change everything. And so this shifts us into 2 versus 4. When you are perceiving that something is happening to you, you create a low frequency and vibration that can be described as victim mentality. And it's what corrupt culture has wanted us to embody and embrace. When we feel like we have no control, that something is happening to us and we can't do anything about it, we tend to follow the rules better. This is absolutely elementary level spiritual seeker. When we don't know that we don't know, then we absolutely don't even know. And so the idea of something happening to you and you have no control is real, but it is not true. When we shift into it's happening for me, we take our power back. And the control that that gives us is perception. When you recognize that anything that comes into your experience that you can't just disregard without any physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual repercussion, then that is a lesson that you're here to learn. So, for example, if you're listening to the news and you hear that there was an accident on the main highway, well, that's come into your awareness. There is likely nothing that you can do for that situation short of sending love. That means that's not happening to you and it's not happening for you. But let's imagine that you're in a car accident, for example. You can suggest to your mind that this is happening to you, when in fact it's happening for you. There is always a cause and effect. This is a natural law or a hermetic principle. We can spend hours and hours and hours working through causes and effects, and we're not going to do that today. The most important component of this is anything that comes into your experience and it has an effect, physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual, you were the primary cause. It's happening for you to learn a lesson, to elevate your conscious awareness, to know something, to be something, or to feel something that you didn't before. This is probably one of the most important distinctions between elementary and intermediate. The next is the difference between searching for answers and asking important questions. When we are searching for answers, we're not going to have a high level of discernment. We're going to throw our questions out there and we're going to accept any answers that come to us because we're trying to figure out what it all looks and feels like, what it all means. And this is a very, very valuable part of being an elementary level spiritual seeker. Gather as much information as possible. And as you elevate into intermediate level spiritual seeker, you begin to develop discernment. You are no longer accepting all answers. You are questioning. You're asking really important questions. And this shifts us into the final of the 5 differences between elementary and intermediate. Elementary level spiritual seekers ask why. They ask why because they think that it's the way to generate more information and find answers. And while it is very valuable in doing that, it isn't very empowering. It doesn't awaken your innate biofield. It literally pummels you with additional experiences and lessons that you need to learn that you're not ready or capable for. I want you to imagine that the frequency and vibration of the question why is low. And so when you say why, the universe starts bringing to you the answers in the form of experiences. So why am I so angry? The universe has to bring you things to be angry about so you can unravel and uncover and unpack why this is happening. A more empowering question is what? What is this anger all about? And the difference between these two questions is the ability to contemplate and reflect. When we are searching for answers at the elementary level and we're asking why, imagine that you're simply gathering information. But at the intermediate level, when you've asked important questions, what does this mean? What do I need to know? What do I do with this? You're creating actionable energy. It's creating for you exactly what you need. Joe's asking, does the opposite happen if you're programming happiness? Well, I want you to imagine that if you're still in the stage of programming happiness, there is still unhappiness that is the main energy. And so when you say, even if you want to say, why am I so happy? Yes, it does the same thing. But if you're not telling the truth, if you're in a state of happiness and you're walking around saying, why am I so happy? That low frequency and vibration of unhappiness is still what's going to be attracted. That's the danger of the commercialized law of attraction. That's the danger of creating statements without understanding the art and the science of mantras and mudras. It's the most dangerous concept of fake it until you make it, because your energy cannot be faked. And the universe doesn't go by your spoken word. The universe goes by what you're thinking and what you're feeling create a frequency and vibration, or literally a magnetic attraction to you. And so when you use your words, those words are orchestrated to attract to the frequency and the vibration that you're at. And so if you're still in the process of programming happiness, you want to shift to or out of questions of why am I so unhappy or why does this keep happening, and you want to ask, what do I need to generate more happiness? What do I I think it's what do I need to know? What do I need to know about what will make me more happy? Or what does happiness even mean to me? Very often when I'm working with a patient and we're working with words and we're programming or deprogramming, I very often will say what the definition of this word means generically is irrelevant to what it means to you, because that's going to be its frequency and vibration. Shirley saying, what if, and I love that start, Cheryl, what if you are asking, what about this makes me happy so I can repeat it? Magic. If you are in a state of happiness, you can ask that question for sure. What about this makes me happy so I can repeat it? Or what more could I possibly create with this feeling? What greater sensations can I create with this feeling? And so let's just do this quick summary, and then I'll ask if anyone has any questions. And then I'm going to unlock in your biofield through an energy medicine session the pathway from in-between intermediate, cancel that, for the in-between elementary and intermediate. So elementary doesn't know what they want, so how could they know what they need? Intermediate knows what they want, so they can search for what they need. Elementary likely does not have a consistent daily spiritual practice. Intermediate has a daily spiritual practice. Elementary wants to know who they are. Intermediate wants to know what they need to know. Elementary perceives that it's happening to them. Intermediate perceives it's happening for them. Elementary searches for answers. Intermediate asks important questions. Elementary gets stuck in the why, and intermediate is empowered by the what. What's really important about the way that I had you draw them is that you literally can be partially in intermediate and partially in elementary. The same is true, you can be partially in savvy and partially in intermediate. Our goal is to fully grow out of one level into the next, out of one level into the next. The savvy spiritual seeker, which we aren't going to spend a lot of time on because no one stays there. It's a great place to visit for a while. But a savvy level a savvy level spiritual seeker is going to be elevating higher and higher and higher in their conscious awareness. Shirley's question is, can you move back and forth? Absolutely. If you can imagine that Earth is a library of 1 billion books, just because you've read the intermediate book on blah, 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 and you've read the advanced book on blah, 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 that doesn't mean that you're advanced. It means in that very specific vein of information, knowledge, and wisdom that you are developing yourself. And that's actually a great piece that I just said. Think of the elementary level as the information, the intermediate level as the knowledge, and the savvy level as the wisdom. In any given moment, you can be full of wisdom in this particular awareness, but you're going to become unconsciously incompetent as you move into a new area of consciousness. And so in that moment, you're not going to know that you don't know, because you think that you're a savvy spiritual seeker, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I did not know that. And you're going to progress through elementary, intermediate, savvy. And then all of a sudden, something's going to come along that was never in your perception, and you're going to move through that again. Think of it as stairs. As you step fully onto a step, you are savvy. As you're contemplating moving to the next step, you're elementary. As you put one foot on, you're intermediate. Both feet on that next step, you're savvy. You're always moving through these 4 levels of awareness: unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, unconscious competence. And so in every given moment, in this minute right now, this is a great example for those of you who got on at the very beginning. On the weekend, I took a sourdough starter course, and I got my very own starter. Her name is Maeve. Well, I would call myself a savvy spiritual seeker. I am an unconsciously incompetent sourdough mom. I went to this sourdough course thinking, oh, how exciting that we would have our own starter and be able to make sourdough. I never knew it was a living being that I need to talk to and feed twice a day and remove its discard. It's the same freaking responsibility as having an infant. I wasn't ready for that, but I'm so ecstatic of the joy, the pure, unadulterated joy I've had over the last 3 days making bread and keeping this starter alive. Even Fred's in on it. He said to me today, "Are you going to feed Maeve at the same time that you feed the dogs?" And I was like, "Yeah, because I want to establish a routine." I shifted out of unconscious incompetence. I was no longer terrified of the starter. I was in a flow, a process that I could move through in any given moment. And so, yesterday I could have been savvy at something and elementary at something else and intermediate something else all at the same time. And it's why I teach these 4 levels of awareness, because if you're aware of where you're at in a given moment, especially if suffering is being created, you're able to shift your awareness by understanding what tools you're going to learn. If you do not want to be in that uncomfortable space of unconscious incompetence or even conscious incompetence, you need to know the difference between want and need. You need to know what you want so that you can find what you need. But you also need to shift from who do you want to be into what you need to know. You need to shift out of this is happening to me to this is happening for me. You need to shift out of searching for answers and start asking important questions. You need to shift out of why into what. These are the tools. This is my purpose on this planet, is to make sure that you have these most empowering tools. And in the Self-Awareness Academy, which is where I teach, these tools are available. The elementary level is awakening your power, formally take your power back. It's learning how to activate your own innate operating system, to activate your heart center, your soul's brain, your ego center, your God brain, your hara, which is your body brain, so that you are a full battery that no one can steal your energy from. And then also in this elementary level, we shift into soul reveal reading, where you figure out what your divine assignments are and what your 3 fear stories are that are controlling and compelling you from creating or co-creating your life. And then you shift into intermediate. You get your whole human being user manual, that's a map, and you use that map to guide you. You create a blueprint for each year of what you want your life to look like, and then you make that happen. You literally level up each year so that you can elevate into a higher frequency and vibration. And at that savvy level, I teach Earth School. And so this entire cycle is repeated every year. What we're learning in being human isn't a one-time lesson. Oh, I'm gonna get my human being user manual and I have everything I need. No, man. You have to use these tools through contemplation, through reflection, through asking powerful and empowering questions. And yeah, Star, absolutely. It is normal to be nervous to change your questions from why to what, because we've been programmed to only ask those low frequency questions. And when we ask what, we're terrified of the answers. When we ask why, we recognize at a subconscious level that we're just gathering information. There really isn't anything you can do with a why answer. It's a what answer that requires our action. And if you're masculine energy, your action is doing something about it. If you're feminine energy, your action is about allowing what you need to find you so you can move forward. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, ideas, anything that you need from me today before we go into a guided meditation where we unlock the door between all of the levels so that we can flow in any given moment without any judgment and criticism, from elementary to intermediate to savvy. From elementary to intermediate to savvy. Any questions, concerns, ideas, anything that you need from me before we go into our energy medicine session? Okay, beautiful. Let's find a comfortable position. Your ankles and your knees are not bound over one another. When your ankles are locked, you're telling the universe you're inflexible. When your knees are locked, you're telling the universe that you don't feel safe. And so when we unlock our ankles and knees, or even better, sit cross-legged because we're balanced in a rooted energetic space, we're telling the universe that we're open to receive. So let's find that position. Your ankles and your knees are unbound. As you close your eyes, place your hands on your lap, palms facing up. The up hand position is receiving. This allows you to receive the transmissions that I send through the energy medicine of Reiki. Your eyes are closed and you're connected to your breath so that you are creating an internal experience. You're letting the external know that you're engaged in a conscious practice of self-love. Find your breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. This activates pineal and heart at the same time. The longer you're able to extend the inhalation and the exhalation, the better you are engaging your hara. Pulling up from the hara through the heart to the pineal on an inhale. Exhaling from pineal to heart to hara. On the exhale, find your breath. On your next exhalation, drop into your heart center and stay there. Breathing in and out of the center of your chest until you can drop down into your imagination, into a different dimension. We're going to drop into a beautiful summer field. Imagine that you're standing on a path with tall grass and wild flowers blowing in the wind. The sounds of birds and woodland creatures all around you create a peaceful sensation. In the distance, you can even hear water flowing unimpeded. As you look ahead, there is a beautiful gate surrounded by an ornate stone fence. As you get closer to the gate, there's a beautiful metal sign, and etched on it is "All are welcome." As you stand in front of this gate, imagine that this is unconscious incompetence. You don't know what's ahead of you. And should you have the courage to step in to this most incredible opportunity of shifting into conscious incompetence, you're going to press the gate and allow it to open. And as it does, the sun beams down on the path in front of you. You feel safe shifting out of unconscious incompetence, of not knowing, and you begin to get curious. You feel guided, called, even welcome on this path. Ahead of you is a beautiful stone cottage. As you get closer, you can look in the window. You see a beautiful library, a fire in the hearth, tea already made on the table, and a wonderful couch calling to you. As you get to the doorway, you realize that this is an invitation to step out of unconscious incompetence, of not knowing, into conscious competence. You're being invited into this sacred library of knowledge. You're being invited to get comfortable, to warm yourself by the fire, to enjoy a hot beverage, and to grab any book of knowledge from the shelf. Should you have the courage, simply turn the handle, open the door, and step into conscious competence. Feel the sense of relief flood your body, the peaceful, calm energy that this space provides. Feel the excitement percolate in you as these books of wisdom call to you. One book in particular is seeking your attention. Follow this calling. Grab a hold of that book and place it at your heart's center. Find your way to one of the comfortable seating areas. And as you sit, feeling fully supported, have the courage to look at the cover of this book. Allow your imagination to recall the title and know that this is a sign that you are shifting to a new level of conscious awareness. Take a moment to contemplate the title, to open the book should you choose. Ask for a message. We'll sit in silence for 1 minute while you allow this wisdom to embody within you. Beautiful. Very gently put the book back where you found it. Give thanks in any way that serves you for all that you have received, known, unknown, cloaked, and hidden. Imagine that you sit back down on that chair and you're transported back to this present moment, exactly where you were before you entered that meadow, present in this moment. With your eyes still closed, you're going to move your body in any way that you need to release my energy from yours. Your chakras are aligned. The fear of moving through the levels of spiritual awareness are eased, and you've received a message. Whether you know what that is right now, it will come to you. This is your gift from your conscious self. If anyone has any questions, concerns, or ideas, we have 2 minutes. You can pop them up there. If not, you would like to do that personally, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at tracy@tracytrimble.ca. If you'd like to know more about these levels of consciousness, about what being a spiritual seeker means, about your human being user manual, Julie is going to post a link to my Divine Blueprint Masterclass. And sometime this week we'll post it on the main page. This complimentary 1-hour masterclass is very powerful and empowering. Even if you already watched it before you did your soul reveal reading, watching it again now, especially after tonight, understanding the levels of awareness even better, you'll find something in there that's going to support your spiritual seeking journey. Thank you for being with me. I look forward to seeing you next week when we're going to talk about channels and empaths and how we use our divine assignment to master the gifts that we came with or to develop the clairs that are part of this natural realm. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Namaste.